Yeah, good evening, Bernie, and to all the viewers that are joining us out there tonight. Coming to you from Virginia International Raceway, as you said. So, looking like it's going to be a awesome bit of racing tonight from the boys in the Porsche, as it, like I say, it comes to the final round of this championship. Yeah, definitely. He came home last week at Oran Park in fifth, so probably not the result that he would have ideally liked. Handed the win there over to Scotland Arc. So it's going to have a bit of catch up to do, as you said. And given the pace that he's got at the moment, a bit over a tenth up on Baden, he's certainly got the capacity in that car to be able to do that tonight, though. Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm not too sure what the total points haul will be at the moment, but if it is a bit of a change with Scott up ahead, Scott certainly set himself up well for the back end of this race. Sitting currently third, only just under 2 tenths behind Michael there. He's certainly in a good position to extend the lead, if not hold it, and take out the championship.
Exactly right, and hopefully the viewers can hear me now. Bit of a shocker start to tonight for us here in the comm box, folks. I had myself muted. Now, if that doesn't tell you something about my psyche, then nothing else will. But having a look at the weather at the moment, overcast out there, 24 degrees Celsius, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and total track length 5.22 kilometres or 3.24 miles, depending where you're joining us in the world tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and a few quick housekeeping things we should get out of the way as well, just for the viewers watching us. The race tonight, 1 hour, time certain enduro, so a lot to play for over this hour for the guys. They have got one quick repair available to them, and they'll also be running at 60% fuel capacity in these cars as well. So we're certainly going to have to keep an eye on when they want to play out a strategy. We're expecting tonight one stop from all drivers out there, and it's certainly going to spice up. Where do they look to come in? If they're in a bit of a battle, do they try and undercut? I'd be very surprised if we see drivers, when they do stop, however, taking in tyres on these cars. Track temperature probably really doesn't warrant the need for it, given how cool it is out there, but we might see a couple of guys want to play that game in the event potentially there could be a safety car if that comes out. But it certainly opens up the strategy for all these guys out here tonight.
Yeah, it certainly does, and these races are always very exciting when we have a mandatory stop that they have to take, and it means they can start playing that strategy card, and we'll keep an eye on that. But of course, through the week, as you just saw there, folks, we had a bit of an iRacing update, and one of the things they have now is when you go off the circuit, as you just saw, the cars now throw up the grass and the dirt and leave nice big tracks through the grass, so that's a good step in the right direction as far as reality goes for spectators.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's sort of a bit of a telltale sign for the drivers out there as well. They can see where these cars have come on and off. We've had the build-up of dirt coming onto these circuits for a couple of seasons now, so to have the visibility to see where drivers are coming back on and initially starting that dirt, it gives them the chance they can run the car half a car length to a length wider, stay out of it, and try and keep that momentum up. If they start getting into the dirt and the weeds, it will start pick up on the tyres, and it gives it more chance to lose it under the brakes. So it's a good improvement from iRacing. Certainly makes it more enjoyable for all the participants out there as well. And as you say, the viewers get a bit more of a better understanding as to where these guys are coming back on track.
Yeah, that's right. And there was a bit of a mixed bag feeling about it during the week. I noticed some people were saying, well, they would have preferred to have flat spotted tyres, that sort of thing. But, you know, they've been focusing very heavily. This is the iRacing on the particle effects, and this is the next iteration. I don't know if we had an updated tyre model. I've sort of lost track this week.
No, I didn't see any tyre models. We obviously did get a bit of new content though out there. Belle Isles has launched, so awesome street circuit. We saw the IndyCar race there over the weekend, and for all the viewers out there, this is the circuit where unfortunately that C7 spun and hit the wall on the pace lap there. But the track itself's amazing. iRacing also brought out the 919 or 919, I think it is, RSR LMS car, so Le Mans spec Porsche, which is awesome, and the WRX Subaru rallycross vehicle as well.
Yeah, and you've driven both of those, and from what you said off air, they're quite an impressive car.
Yeah, absolutely. The Porsche is another step up in the right direction. The sound's incredible, the feel's awesome, and don't do a lot of rallycross, but a little bit of drive in that feels very similar to what I've experienced with other WRXs in the past.
Okay. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get to have a run of them next payday. We'll have a look at them. But let's turn our focus to qualifying here. Michael Healy's bad run is continuing at the moment, folks. He was fastest, but Scott Lanark, he's snatched it from him with the 146.474. Michael Healy's 0.2 of a second down. He was on a flyer, and as you saw there, he's aborted that. Baden Reed third fastest, and he's 1/10 behind Michael there. Griffin Gardner fourth, and Cameron Dance still fifth fastest. So no real changes there. Only the top two have swapped around there. As far as sixth, we've got Thomas Hinds, Richard Brookfield seventh, Richard Skender eighth, ninth Bruce Smith, and 10th David Mulhall. So we'll see how they go. Of course, Bruce got turned last week at Oran Park. I spoke to him after the race, and he said he burned his tyres up early in that race, so he had no real way of defending after that. That's one of those things, isn't it? A learning curve, I guess, when you get in these cars.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, compared to what we see with the likes of the V8, which a lot of guys in Australia love running, you don't have the adjustability for bars and things like that. So once you get into a race, you're pretty well tied into your setup that you run. So you might take a set of tyres. The drawback to that, you're going to be well down the order and possibly even nearing a lap down at that point. But it certainly gives you a good understanding as to what you can and can't get away with in these cars. Probably the biggest thing is looking at the likes of your rear camber and how you can set that up to maximise the tyre over the course of that run.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and we'll see how they go tonight with that, and see if Bruce has been working on his setup through the week, that's for sure. But just having a look, we've got Jamie McKnight out here. He's having a run as well tonight. Currently 22nd fastest. The other one we should mention is Jackson Evans, a real-life driver. And coming back from the 5th of June, he was in the Australian GT Championship down at Phillip Island in a McLaren. So it's great to have a real-life driver out here. Currently 14th fastest, and his fastest time was a 1:49.017, but he's not currently in the car, so hopefully we'll see him join the grid in about 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, certainly will. He's a bit of a demon in these machines. It's obviously probably his bread and butter. It's what he does professionally for a living, and as you said, doing a bit of a double in the GT series in that McLaren. So certainly well versed in how these cars run, and if anyone could make the most out of the setup, surely he'll be up there with it.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll keep an eye on him coming through the field. Tom Freer, we can see him out there. He's normally driving down at Race Stars Bowral, and it's good to see him out there having a run in the 399. He's also got Luke Lucas, his teammate. I think it's his teammate. Looks like his teammate. Maybe it's not. Also running the Race Stars. I think he drives for PRA, and he's 13th fastest at the moment.
Yeah, got a bit of a big lock up there for Luke going into Horseshoe Turn 1 there. So something these guys are going to have to be cautious of, especially for this long race. No ABS they're not going to want to damage those tyres at all. So look for him to be very cautious under brakes, and looks like now as this car sort of flows up through the snake here, it's not looking too bad. Gets it up on the two wheels, which for any race driver always looks good to be able to see that, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It also feels good when you do it. Although I know when I lift a wheel in a car, in my mind it's a hell of a lot higher than it is in reality, but I think that's the same for most racing drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And I think probably for tonight, for the viewers especially watching us, there's probably half a dozen really key points on this circuit that we're going to have to keep an eye out on. One, obviously, right where we see Luke now running wide through Oak Tree. Fortunately, the tree's no longer there. They had to pull it out because of a bit of tree rot. But the corner itself, you know, you're braking a long way in through turn 11. You've got to hold it through 12 and set yourself up for this back straight, which looks like Luke's just pulled off into the alternate pit lane there, which they don't use anymore. The other one that's a big one to keep an eye on, turn 13, 14, 15 up through the roller coaster. As we can see, Griffin Gardner going through there right now. And as you come through 16 and 16B, where we are now, it drops away a lot, and there's not a lot of turning to get that car moved across. So the guys will need to be really cautious through that particular section. So probably that whole back half of the track from turn 7 right through 17 is going to be critical to get the most out of these cars here tonight.
Yeah, and as far as the start goes, keep an eye on turn 1, folks. Normally brings a lot of action, and turn 3 as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. But the biggest moving places to pass on this circuit, Daniel, I would say, would be coming down off the main straight into turn 1, and then possibly down through Oak Tree we'll see a bit of action, as well as you said, as they come up on the back straight up to the roller coaster, they generally try to get a nice inside line there, but we have seen them come together pretty heavily through there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, roller coaster itself, you got a massive toe down that back straight, so we see a few guys maybe go too wide through there, which you can certainly do. It's got to be very cautious from both drivers to be able to do it. But as you say, turn 1 up through the horseshoe, probably the preferred overtaking spot on this circuit. However, it does lend itself to the guy on the outside still being able to have a run in through turn 2 and 3 and maybe even take back that position. So you've got to have a lot of confidence in the car and the driver you're racing against, obviously, but certainly the capacity to run most of this circuit pretty well too wide.
Yeah, it's a love-hate track, this. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I don't mind it at all. But Jamie McKnight, he's on a fast run here at the moment. 21st, he was a bit slow coming into qualifying tonight, as in late to join. But here he comes across the line. What's he going to post? He's quite a slow lap here, 1:51.723, and that's not enough to improve. So Jamie's going to have a very long run here tonight, coming up through the field.
Yeah, he certainly will, but we've seen, especially in the V8s and the GT3s, his racecraft is very good, so look for him to certainly make his way up. The car looked a little bit sketchy though as they went through 16B. It sort of had a bit of a wobble up in that front end, which certainly would have unsettled him a bit as well. Yeah,
definitely. So he'll go back and readjust the car. He's got a bit of time left till the session finishes. Luckmal Leonage is out there on a flyer, but I doubt he's going to complete this lap. Not sure how much time he's got left here, Daniel.
No, well, we're coming up to the end of this section here. We're about 2 seconds from it, so we'll probably look to see this one be aborted as it is now, and the guys will start getting ready to take their positions on the grid. So while that happens, we better start having a quick run through this 23 car field for tonight.
Yeah, so Michael Healy, he took pole position with the 1:46.387. Scott Lanark, he's going to start on the outside next to him, 1:46.474. Going to the second row, we have Baden Reed starting out of third. Griffin Gardner, he'll start out of fourth. Going back to the third row, we have Cameron Dance in fifth and Thomas Hinn starting next to him out of sixth. Out of seventh tonight is Richard Brookfield. Richard Skender starting next to him in eighth. In ninth is Bruce Smith, and David Mulhull will start out of 10th. Starting out of 11th tonight is Steve Jansen, and Brett Douglas, he'll start out of 12th.
Luke Lukes will be starting out of 13th tonight alongside Jackson Evan in 14th. Lasnu, probably butchered that one, sorry buddy, will be starting out of 15th tonight alongside Tom Free in 16th. Lakmal, I'm not going to bother with the last name, will be in 17th there. Wayne Martin's out of 18th. Alex Schuler will be out of 19th tonight. Mick Wilson out of 20th, with Jamie McKnight out of 21st, as we saw before. And rounding out the back of the field will be Jordan McDonald and Blair Walton.
Yeah, so that's your field, folks, and it's going to be interesting. We've got Michael starting out of pole. This is what happened last week, but he lost the rear end and he went backwards, not literally, but through the field as he recovered that. But let's see what he can do on cold tyres, and that's going to be an issue around here for the first few laps because it's very cool, 24 degrees Celsius. We're still waiting for Scott Lanark to join the track, and might be a little bit of gamesmanship. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm sure the guys are looking to probably keep as much heat in those tyres as they can off the line there. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Obviously, with these cars too, you don't get a rolling start. So we need to just keep an eye on where these guys can launch it on the clutch. And I think we'll be just about ready to go green here.
Here we go, folks, waiting for starters' orders now. And we're going to go green for round. Here we go. It's a bit of a slow start, but we're underway. And Michael Healy, he got a good jump off the line, didn't he? Scott Lanark, we can see him on the outside as they come into turn one. And he's going to have to watch it right behind him, though, 3 wide as they sort themselves out.
Yeah, it was a great jump from Baden Reed there in that Elements car. He managed to get up the inside of Scott. Scott lost a little bit on the outside, got caught in that dirt, but looks like the guys behind them have all managed to filter their way through. Everyone's jumped back into single file here. Looks like a pretty good start from everyone, considering.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we can see them still 2 wide as they come down through the S's for the first time here tonight, folks. And but it's a nice clean start. The guys that did not take to the grid, and there's quite a few of them here, is Blair Walton, Jamie McKnight, Alex Schuler, Jackson Evans and Jordan McDonald all did not make the start of this race. So we're down to 18 starters here tonight.
Yeah, it's been interesting that we lost so many off the start, but bit of a shame there, so maybe we'll get a bit of an idea as to what's going on there. Looks like all the guys now starting to make their way into Otra. It's a bit of a lock-up. I think that was Baden Reed there on the entrance. So this is probably going to be a bit of a theme for the night as a lock-up, especially in that area as the weight comes off the inside of these cars.
Yeah, exactly right. We see it quite often, don't we? So we're jumping on board now with Scott Lanark. Give you a bit of an idea, folks, as he comes up over the top, entering the roller coaster. Have a look at how blind it is as he comes through for the first time. And I tell you what, we're seeing a lot of drivers get come unstuck through there.
Yeah, it's a very easy spot to lose it, but when you do get it right, mate, the car flows exceptionally well, and probably a highlight for any driver that's going around this circuit. Now, we just did hear word as well, Blair Walton. The reason he's lost connection tonight, the computer had the old blue screen of death, so unfortunate there for Blair, but hopefully he might be able to get that thing refired and maybe come in for a few laps towards the end.
Yeah, that's a shame, really, isn't it? But we see that fairly often, computer failure. As, we generally have 1 or 2, don't we, each round that has some sort of hardware failure.
Yeah, certainly do. It's one of those things that happens, unfortunately, a little like real life, where it might be a clutch or a brake or an accident or something. Unfortunately, we get a PC freeze and a lockup, so it kind of emulates the real world, I guess, in the sense that our computers sometimes fall over. Not the best, though, and you do feel rather disappointed, especially if you've set yourself up for a good qualifying and start to the road.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting start to this race as well. A bit of a reverse as it was last week here, as we see Scott Lanark now. He should get a position up, as we saw Baden Reed. No, he doesn't. Baden Reed, Cameron Dance running side by side through Oak Tree. We'll see what Scott can do here. What I was going to say is last week it was Healy that had to recover while Scott ran off. This time, it's Scott doing the hard work as he tries to thread the needle coming up. This is brave work by Scott, isn't he? He's going 3 wide here, up into roller coaster. Who's going to blink first, Daniel?
Oh, I think, I don't know, but looks like Baden managed to get out of that one as he has the lock up there. Does collect Dance a little bit, but pretty strong move there from Scott Lanark to go right up through the middle there, 3 wide down that back straight.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he managed to thread it. Baden backed out, then Baden and Cameron got together, and Griffin Gardner pounced. he decided he was going to try taking it 3 wide as they went down the roller coaster, and that worked. He got 1 position, but Cameron Dance, he's under threat now from Thomas Hinds. Cameron goes the inside in the down under graphics sponsored Porsche and holds him out. But I tell you what, Cameron's got a lot of battling, and we're only on lap 2 here.
Yeah, he sure does, and Thomas is another one of those drivers who'll have a crack at anything. And Ayrton Senna said it once a long time ago that if you don't go for the gap, you're no longer a racing driver. And these guys are continuing to do that now. But what it has done with all this squabbling that's happened from second back, it's pretty much unleashed Michael Healy. 3.5 seconds up the road from Scott at the moment. He's just checked out and gone.
Yeah. That's right. I was just having a look at the chat board there, folks, and can see, as you said, Michael Healy, he's gone, and he's trying to get a huge gap now. So if we go through your top 10 as they stand on lap 3, Michael Healy's got a gap of over 3 seconds back to Scott Lanark. Scott's had a great drive there, as we saw, threading the needle to jump back to second. Third is Baden Reid. Fourth, Griffin Gardner. Fifth is Cameron Dance. He's got a bit of a gap now over Thomas Hinds in sixth. Richard Brookfield. Richard's having a great run in seventh. Eighth is Bruce Smith. Ninth, Richard Skender. Rounding out your top 10 is Steve Jansen.
Yeah, it's good spread of drivers. The guys sort of third back. If you look between, say, third and sixth at the moment with Cameron Dance and Thomas Hinds, it's only a bit over a second covering these guys now. So good little 4-car battle starting to come up here. We're just on board. Who are we on board with here? Baden Reid looking back at Griffin Gardner there. Griffin really closing up on the brakes. There was a bit of a nudge there as they get into turn 1.
Yeah, I got to like that. I love that view when they give them a nudge and you see all the radiator and everything.
Yeah, sure do. And Baden with a bit of a lock up there on the entrance to turn 3. But maybe iRacing need to look at a model where it does crumple that front end a little bit. But looks like Baden suffered a little bit of rear wing damage there, but not enough that'll probably slow him down.
Yeah, slight tap there. I know they were working on it. They were talking about when cars hit the fence that spoilers would fly off and all that stuff. But that was a good. That was way back when they were talking about the witch's hat. So we haven't really seen a lot of that come out. But I guess the next incarnation of that is the particle effects, as we see once again Baden Reid running wide there. As far as incident limits, no limit tonight, folks. But they do only have one fast repair, so that does encourage you guys to explore the limits of the track a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be careful though. If you go too wide, you really set yourself up for a bad run off those corners. So the guys are going to want to stay inside the track limits, and when you're on a grass-laid circuit like this, it's pretty well critical that you can do it. But they'll just work to optimise the exits off the corners, which is probably your biggest advantage, especially in these cars, to keep someone behind you.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one thing I'm noticing a lot is Baden Reid is locking that front up as he gets a huge slide going out of the final corner. This is going to give Griffin a run here. Griffin's having a look down the inside. He should be able to make this move under brakes as we see him go too wide. Sorry about that view, folks, but don't know why we put a camera there. But here we go, under brakes into turn 1. Keep an eye on the 222, dives in, trying to keep it on the inside. Baden's having none of it, and Baden gets escorted off the track.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a touch from both there. I think looking at how that one played out, Griffin's did run him a little wide there, but seemed within reason there, but it was all set up from the slow exit of Baden, where he had that massive slide as they made their way up towards the front straight.
Yeah, just going back to this replay here, folks, we'll go to super slow-mo. Just have a look at this. Hopefully we'll get a bit of a different angle as we can just see them coming in here. There was a bit of contact as you can see Griffin there throwing it up on the inside there. 2 wheels on the grass, and that unsettled the car a little bit. Still, there wasn't any major contact, I think. Oh, yeah. Then Baden got a bit of a slide on. That's when they contacted, and that's when Baden was exited stage right there. And Cameron Dance pounced, as well as Thomas Hinds also benefited from that.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate there. As you were saying early on in the race, we were saying you can make that outside line work through turn 1, but you do need a lot of support from the guy on the inside of you. Maybe just not quite enough room given, but good on Baden for sticking it around the outside and working to try and get that position back. But as you said, the big thing that we've noticed so far, especially on this car, is a lot of lock brakes on the run into a few corners here. So maybe needs a quick play with the brake bias, slide it back just a little bit more, but still having a lot of trouble exiting turn 16B with a lot of slide out of that car.
Yeah, straight into the pits he goes. He's not happy with whatever's going on with that car, and I think he's decided to take that early stop, and that'll give him... he should potentially be able to run home from here, possibly not. 60% is the fuel limit here.
Yeah, I think he might be still quite short of where he needs to be as far as the fuel ratio goes in this car. We know with a full tank you can certainly run the hour mark and it's not too much of a problem, but to only be 10 minutes in right now, probably not really enough of a run.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at his back out. So maybe he felt he was carrying a bit of damage somewhere and he's decided he was going to throw a fast repair at that car. His stop was only 7.4 seconds. That's not a fuel stop to me. That's more just going in, hitting reset and going out again.
Yeah, I'd expect there's maybe a slight top up of fuel, maybe extend that window. Normally if it was a quick fast repair, you'd be in for 30 seconds, or not even 30 seconds, a couple of seconds stop and then back out again. So maybe he's just set himself up towards the end, but it does drop him a long way down the order. He's now running pretty much second last on the field at the moment and currently looking at about 30 odd seconds back behind the leader.
Yeah, a lot of work to do there, and we can see now Cameron Dance, he's got, they're really holding position, these three. They're separated by around about 2.2 seconds from Griffin back to Thomas, and slap bang in the middle of that is Cameron Dance, as Cameron just lifts two wheels through there. Might jump back and have a look at Baden as he comes through that final corner, just to see if he's managed to get those gremlins sorted in the Element-sponsored Porsche.
Yeah, I'd probably lean still that it was that quick repair. We can see that rear wing looks nice and straight again. So seems to be flowing reasonably well as he's making his way up. Who was that? He's coming up on Mick Wilson just in front of him there. Not too bad of exit, maybe a little bit of rear slide on it, but certainly nothing that would slow him down too much, you'd expect.
No, he's got a good run here on Mick, and he should take this position on the inside as Mick lifts a little bit, lets him through, and no point probably fighting too hard there, because I guess, having someone as fast as Baden coming through the field, he's going to get you at some point, isn't he?
Yeah, certainly will. But as we saw there, massive lock-up. He carried that front brake a long way into turn one there. So still hasn't quite got the bias where he needs it. So we'll just have to play that out. But, we'll jump back up here. We'll keep an eye on Scott. He's sitting pretty comfortable now in second position. That gap, 2.5 seconds now, we'll call it, behind Keeley. And that's holding pretty steady now. It was 3 seconds a couple of laps ago. So he's managed to bring it down a little bit.
As we jump on board with Scott up the back straight here, have a look at the telemetry here, folks. We'll see what his top speed is, 265 kilometres an hour when he lifted. So that's some speed he's got going up there.
Yeah, certainly does. And a lot of the guys will probably want to knock that rear wing down to as lower angle of attack as they can, just to maximise that top speed there. But should be able to play around enough with the settings to not compromise too much, but looking at the speed traps from Scott, he's certainly got that thing wound up tonight.
Certainly does, and Cameron's starting to close in now on the back of Griffin Gardner, and Cameron looks like he's carrying a little bit of damage on the left front fender there, and Griffin's carrying some on the rear wing, so I wonder if these two have got together.
Yeah, there were a couple of comings together a little earlier on between both of these drivers, and I think Baden was involved in that as well. But I don't think it's anything major that will really impact the overall performance. We get a really good look at Cameron working his way up through the snake, as they call it on this circuit, which is an awesome bit of road. It really flows well, and it certainly makes you set up the line right. But this next section that we're coming up to here through the S's as they climb the hill is probably the most exciting section as you go through. Pretty well flat stick. up through here, and then a slow brake, bring it back to maybe 5th or 4th gear depending on your run, and head towards that Oak Tree corner.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's favourite part, isn't it? When you go up through the S's up that hill, as you said, you're pretty much flat out and try to flow that car through. As we see now, Griffin going to the inside, and no doubt he's doing that to defend from Cameron, who's closing in on him as we come up the hill for what's this, lap 7.
Yeah, and these cars are still looking very evenly matched. Not a huge advantage to Cameron sitting in that draft there. So he's really going to have to maximise getting up through the corners and break in Oak Tree, and really look to put that car right up under that rear wing there if he's going to have a hope of getting through the roller coaster there. But having said that, these cars both look very well matched, so it's going to be a hard effort for him to do this.
Yeah, well, he did close in, didn't he? But Griffin's got enough speed as the cameraman. I'm going to tell him to move that camera. It's driving me mental. Griffin is definitely going to be a hard man to pass, and he's holding his own really well. And as I said, Cameron closed in, but he's going to have to work bloody hard to get that position.
Yeah, he certainly will. I'm just going to have a quick look. We're still seeing a few good brake lock-ups from these guys here, but besides this battle that we're watching right now with Griffin and Cameron, just dropped a little further back here to Richard Skender and Bruce Smith, so 7th and 8th right now. These guys have been fighting on and off now for the last probably 3 laps here from what I can see. Very close together, and just in front of them is Richard Brookfield and that Fluke-sponsored car as well. So not a bad little train of 3 here, and these guys, racing this series pretty much the whole way through, and good competition between all of them, very evenly matched.
Yeah, it's a bit of a like the front 3 there, about a bit further spread out, but it could make for some exciting racing as these guys start to close up. You can see Richard Brookfield there coming through. He's up 1 position from where he started in the Fluke-sponsored Porsche. Bruce Smith up 2 positions, sitting in 7th at the moment, and Richard Skender, well, he started in 8th. He's still in 8th position as we continue on. No retirement so far, folks. Baden Reed, the only one to come in after he had to get that car fast repaired. And at the moment, the gap between Scott Lanark and Michael Healy down to 1.7 seconds. So this was out to over 3 seconds at one point. Now that Scott's got past Griffin and Cameron, he is closing in.
Yeah, he certainly has. I wouldn't be surprised if, looking at the speed that Scott's had here, maybe he started these tyre pressures just a touch lower. So it's taken that good 5-6 laps to build the pressure and really start to get the drive on. And he's coming pretty hard now, Michael Healy. So this battle's really going to start heating up.
Yeah, we just saw in the background, that's why we jumped as Richard Brookfield gets it all crossed up coming out of turn 1 down there. Bruce Smith, the reason we jumped back to that is I saw Bruce having a dive on the inside there coming off the main straight. He didn't quite have enough momentum, but I tell you what, he is now all over the back of Richard, and no doubt Richard has noticed.
Oh, certainly has, and you see the slide there coming off Bruce's car. He's certainly getting on with this job here to get up there and grab another spot. And awesome to see these guys having such a crack so far down in the field.
Yeah, now that's allowed Richard Skender to get on the back of Bruce here. So now Bruce is worried. So it doesn't take much, does it? And you can see the strengths and weaknesses of these car setups as they go around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a 1-up, 2 backs type deal, but yeah, interesting to see. We've just got a word too. Looks like Griffin Gardner's actually had a bit of an off in turn 1. So while we focus on that, I'm just going to duck back a little bit here and just see if I can find out what's actually taken place.
I'll jump back as well, see if we can go back that far, folks. Then we'll jump straight to the lead because Scott is closing at a huge rate. So I've just got it on the replay here, and he's locked it up coming in by the looks of it. Hit that ripple strip, and he was escorted off the circuit pretty much by the momentum.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It's kind of like the back started rotating on him mid-corner, so potentially still had a little bit of brake in it as he's turned that car in, and it's actually gone from a long way out. Grabbing that bit of curbs just sort of helped him on, but yeah, the rear end of that car had gone quite a ways back there.
Yeah, because I could see when he hit the ripple strip there, the car was pretty much sliding on all fours at that point, and that's what carried him off. But at the moment, though, Scott is on the march here. 0.7 of a second is this gap now, and we'll stick with this because it's a battle for the lead. 40 minutes of racing to go here, folks. 60-minute time certain race, but tell you what, it's on for the lead now.
Yeah, and while the guys up front are battling too, just behind them as well, battle for third and fourth with Thomas and Griffin. So the battles are really starting to heat up here. So we're going to have a couple of really good fights just to come on screen pretty soon.
Yeah, and we're just having a look now. Thomas is making a move on Cameron. Under brakes as they come over the roller coaster. Thomas makes that move. Nice clean job there. He moves up to third position now, and we'll see if he can actually get a gap on Cameron, but Cameron's not going to let him run away with this by no means.
No, not at all, and good to see Thomas having a run in the Porsche as well. We saw him earlier in the week in some GT3 action, and that looked to be pretty fun for him, but certainly different change of car going from a GT3 to a Porsche car, and he's just showing, as he always does, he's very adaptable to whatever he drives at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is, and we see that a fair bit, don't we? Jamie's the other one that's quite adaptable as well, as we see now Cameron all over the back of Thomas, and as I thought, he's not going to let him run away by any means. Meanwhile, up front, well, Michael Healy, Scott Lanark at the moment, they are still battling, as well as right behind them is Thomas Hens and Cameron Dance. Yeah,
and these top four are really starting to stretch out a good lead. Obviously, Scott and Michael have checked out well and truly. Nearly 10-second gap over Thomas and Cameron there, but Thomas Cameron's still going on pretty tight. They might also be joined here very soon again by Griffin Gardner, so we'll have to keep an eye on that over the next 3 or 4 laps. We could see 3 cars involved for that battle of third, fourth and fifth again.
Yeah, it definitely could, because Griffin is slowly closing. Now, that gap from the front two to these guys, 9.4 seconds. Massive gap between Scott back to Thomas here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you consider we're only 12 laps into this one, we're not even half race distance yet. That's huge by any standard.
Oh, it's massive. And just watching them as they come down the roller coaster now. We're on lap 11 here at the moment, folks, and 38 minutes remaining of this race. We'll have a look now. What can Scott do? He's got a pretty good run. He's took 0.2 of a second out of the lead last time by. He's taken another 0.2 out now. And, of course, now it starts getting interesting.
Yeah, and just watching the last couple of laps that Scott's put down, he's, I should say, been 0.2 quicker than Michael on both of those occasions. So certainly got a lot of pace sitting in that car, and just playing the game, keep Michael on his toes and honest, and I'll look for a move here pretty soon, I dare say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this move comes as well, as we see them once again going up through the snake here and then up to towards the S's and South Bend up here. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this move comes. I guess if you were Scott, where would you be looking at trying to set it up here?
Look, I think you'd either be aiming to get a really good run off the Oak Tree corner, which the guys are starting to come into now. So maybe break it a little earlier, get it squared off, and run that momentum off Oak Tree where they are now, which actually he's managed to get done. He got a really good exit there with a little slide and tucked up on that wing. But the other opportunity, as you say, is at the end of this straight when you hit into the roller coaster. That's probably your prime opportunity other than maybe turn one. But Scott's set himself up for a really good option here. I think we're actually going to get a change of the lead.
Yeah, as he sails past on the outside there, the same move that Thomas made. So change for the lead, folks. Scott Lanark now snatching the lead from Michael Healy, and we'll see if Scott can run away with that. Then, he's going to run off the track. That's not the exit he was looking for. Sounds like I'm talking Star Wars now, but this will give Michael a bit of a run.
Yeah, it certainly is, and just keeping an eye on the chat, looks like Jordan's picketing for a good move through the roller coaster, which he's done as well. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens over the next few laps. Now that he's managed to get in front, does that help him extend the lead, or will we likely see Michael now just play the same game, sit back under that wing and go for another dive again? But turning back a little further, the battle for third, fourth and fifth has really ignited again. We're back to 3 cars involved in this as we're watching now. So still Thomas Hinz in front of Cameron Dance and Griffin Gardner after that earlier off track, getting back onto the battle of this as well.
Yeah, he's right, and here with Griffin Gardner, see Cameron there lifting 2 wheels. He likes to do that through that part of the circuit up into the snake. You can just see how hard these drivers are working and getting that run. We'll stick with him as he comes up through the S's here, because this is probably, I reckon, one of the most exciting parts of the circuit.
Yeah, it certainly is, and once you hit these couple of corners right, it's pretty impressive. You see a little bit of understeer from Griffin as he's following who we got Cameron Dance just in front of him there, and Cameron setting himself up to get a run through Oak Tree again, too wide. And for the viewers who have driven this car, they know how stiffly sprung it is, and you really can't do much to combat that 2-wheel lift off as you hit these curves.
Yeah, exactly right. Cameron seems to be enjoying that. I'll tell you what, as a racing driver, if you can do that and get away with it, feels hooked up, it's a great feeling, as we see Griffin once again having a look on the outside, backed out of it, but he's all over the back of Cameron now. He's going to try and get this momentum and carry it down onto this start back straight. Expect a move to come at turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like Cameron with a little bit of a slide there, and still maintaining a good connection to the back of Thomas there for the draft. So not looking too bad overall, but these 3 are really starting to set up a good little battle here. Looks like Scott's managed to just extend that gap half a second now up over Michael Healy as well. So that seems to be playing out. Might be looking at some fuel saving from Michael, but certainly where the action is right now is this battle for third, fourth and fifth.
Yeah, it's a good battle, that's for sure. And yeah, Jordan was saying in the chat that he thinks Michael may go for that fuel-saving strategy now, and we'll wait and see. While we're watching the action back here, third, fourth and fifth, we've had another driver come into the pits. They'll be for the first scheduled stop. That was Luke Lucas in the number 80. He's come back out in 18th position. His stop was 11.8 seconds in the pit box, so that's a target. But I tell you what, look at Cameron using all the road and then some, and this is what I like when you have no incident limit. It just encourages these guys to let it all hang out.
Yeah, it certainly does. And the other thing that helps this battle as well is the fact it's a one-make championship. Porsche build these cars pretty well identical for all competitors, so it really comes down to just your driver skill and talent, where you want to put it. Looks like Griffin got a really good draft there. Cameron went very defensive on him to block that inside line, and it's going to force Griffin to look around the outside here.
Yeah, and I was going to say before people jump in and say, well, incident limit, doesn't that make the guys become reckless? Well, the thing is with this series, the guys are all very, very good. They have a lot of respect for each other. There's not too much hip and shouldering, so I think incident points, you can get away with not having them when you've got drivers that are going to show each other respect like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've done a few stints in this series as well and really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun for myself to do. And, as you say, the driver talent and quality that's in the field so far tonight, second to none. And these guys are really starting to show it.
Yeah, it certainly does. I'm just sending you a message here. There you go.
It looks like Cameron's really getting up on that position there and doing a good job just to keep in touch with him. Still running those curbs extremely hard there as well.
If you're wondering what I was sending Daniel, folks, I was asking him who the hell has eaten all the M&Ms. But here we go, Griffin Gardner now all over the back. He goes on the grass, gets the front nose lifting there, and somehow keeps it straight. As you can see him come through South Bend there and almost do a runoff.
Yeah, did well to keep it on the track there and still setting up a nice exit from Oak Tree there. He should get a really good draft, but they have managed to drop Griffin off just a touch as well. So we'll have to keep focus on that. Still Scott extending his lead over Michael Healy there now, 0.8 of a second, but you know, we're seeing some big gaps starting to extend their way through. What we might do now is, while we're continuing to watch this battle here for third and fourth, we might bring up series host Jordan McDonald and get him to have a bit of a chat about this and see how things are going. Jordan, welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mates. It's a great night of racing come on for the series tonight.
I'm not sure if we've got Jordan. You might need to check his microphone. Here we go.
Yeah, definitely. VIR's one of those tracks that I think it brings a lot of driving out in it, just the way it flows and how you got to make the car work over the curbs and what have you. It's definitely a track, if you've driven it before, which is very exciting in these cars, as a lot of people love to use the curbs. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real driver's track, as you alluded to. You know, we've seen it in some other series, especially Imster, when we watch them go racing around this track. It's amazing to see. But yeah, the racing itself tonight's certainly been up there with the best. Got a really awesome battle here that we're watching with Cameron and Griffin and Thomas there. These guys are really going for it right now.
Yeah, I'm just watching it at the moment. Oh, it looks like Thomas has made a mistake at the tree. Run off.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he missed that braking marker as well. It's just gone a touch wide there. We'll get that back up on the replay there, but it's a bit of an easy one there for Cameron to take that position.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron's obviously, he's second, only just in the championship, so he'll be looking to maximise as many points as he can tonight, simply because there's only one round to go, and the Enduros are worth, I think it's... You get 15% extra more points, I believe, off the top of my head. So you get more points than endurance. So every bit of point that he can make against Healy is going to make a difference.
Yes, certainly will. And as you're saying, with championships there, I don't know whether you're able to give us a bit of a rundown on the current standings as these guys obviously make their way up towards the final end of this championship season.
I haven't looked at the last race simply because I've been quite busy through the week, but I had Cameron went over it himself, just trying to figure out based on last round's positions, and I think there's about 3 or 5 points between first and second, and third's only, I think, maybe 15 points behind. So it's pretty close between Healy, Hinds, and Dance. So those three drivers, they'll be looking to maximise as much as they can tonight.
Yeah, certainly will. And Healy's doing a really good job, still sitting in second. You kind of alluded a little bit earlier, he might be looking at maybe going a bit of a fuel-saving strategy there to get this one home, but given it's a 60% fuel capacity, how much can you effectively save around this circuit to limit that final stop?
Well, I haven't been a lot of testing myself, but any fuel that you can save during the race means a shorter stop, and with a track like VIR, it's quite difficult to pass just because of the way the track flows. It's quite single lane through all the technical stuff. You see, obviously, Larnack went for his pass, and it's quite common by the others to go into roller coaster. It can be a risky move, as you've seen Baden lock up and then give Dance the escort off the track. But yeah, it's one of those tracks where you kind of you want track position as much as you can, because you can defend around it pretty easily, and it can be quite difficult to get past. So knowing Healy and racing him in the past, he'll be just conserving as much fuel as he can, get that shorter stop so he can come out in front of Larnack, hopefully, and then be able to possibly defend it for the last quarter of the race.
Yeah, and we just had a disconnection there from Bruce Smith. We kind of caught the end of that on the track. I'm just trying to see what's actually taken place. He had a really weird one there running off the outside of the circuit. And, unfortunately, we've lost another driver as a result of that tonight.
Yeah, it's never good to see. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, we had a look at the replay while you guys were talking. It looks like he's had some sort of mechanical failure coming up into the roller coaster there, and he's pulled it off and sort of parked it down there near the pit road, got out of it, and our first retirement. Back to you guys.
Yeah, that'll be a little disappointing for him. He was getting in there for some good little battle. That sort of sixth, seventh, and eighth was starting to look pretty good there as those guys were fighting on.
Yeah, for sure. It's never good to see drivers have disconnects, whether it be internet or technical issues. And as you said, Bernie, I think it looked more of a technical, like hardware issue, just the way that his car kind of veered off to the right, and basically from there it almost looked like it come back, but by then it was too late. He'd just given up.
Yeah, from what I could tell, he was slowing at a great rate there, and he pulled off when Richard came up on him, I think, to just let him through. But as you said, by then, he might as well park it, which is exactly what's happened there. But having a look at this battle with Griffin Gardner, Cameron Dance, these guys are still going at it. And tell you what, this has been an exciting battle since the start.
Yeah, it certainly has. He's got... No, you go, Jordan. By all means.
Yeah, one of the things that I think Cameron needs to be careful of is Griffin has nothing to lose. He hasn't had... I mean, he's had good results, but he's definitely down in the points, whereas Cameron's fighting for that lead of the championship. So, and knowing Griffin personally, he's one that, you know, he takes no prisoners. He's a clean driver, but if there's a hole, he's going to take it, and Cameron just needs to be aware as much as he can, because if, you know, one thing goes wrong and Cameron's championship could be all over. And as I said, Griffin's got nothing to lose, so he'll be out there just trying to make as many positions as he can in the race, and you know, he doesn't care about other people's championships.
Yeah, we got a nice view watching Cameron with a bit of slide getting up through that S's section. Probably has to be, as we said it a couple of times already, the probably highlight of this circuit. It's probably similar to as you go through this section here with Oak Tree. What would your thoughts be, obviously, racing driver in you, mate? What do you look for as probably the key points getting around the circuit?
For me, I mean, I've driven this track in the Porsche before, and I think curbs are one of the biggest things. I mean, you got to use the curb right. If you use it wrong, you can get unsettled. And as you've seen before, these cars, they're stiff, they two-wheel pretty easily. So you got to make sure you use the curbs right. But the way the curbs are, you can use them to your advantage, is they can hold the car in on the apex, which going through this last section now with Griffin and Cameron, that second last curb is quite vital in my opinion. Helps keep the car tight, as it's like a bit of an off-camber corner. So using the curbs to your advantage, in my opinion, there can be a lot of time found, just because the nature of the car, it's stiff, but it also understeers with all the weight in the back.
Yeah, that's really good insight, especially from the driver's perspective of getting through some of these sections here. And what we're seeing on track, we saw Thomas have a little spin earlier, run off track through that Oak Tree section. He's managed to claw his way up, and we're back to a 3-car battle for this top third spot on the podium. So really starting to come alive. The last lap time for Thomas there was nearly. We have 0.3 quicker than Griffin in front of him, and just over a second and a half quicker than Cameron. So certainly still got a lot of pace in this Rat Corp car.
Definitely, and Thomas he's quite a conservative driver, as you guys have said previously, and he's one that he takes his opportunities when they come. He never really over pushes the car, and I think that's what's really hindered Cameron at the moment. I think he's personally pushing it probably a bit too hard, and you can see that pushing a car like he has, it's really hindered his tyre life. Griffin just went past him like he was standing still, and I think Cameron used the tyre when he was trying to pass earlier on. I think it was trying to get past Thomas, and now it's hurting him. So
yeah, and we just got a replay here that Bernie's got up for us of Baden Reed exiting stage right out of 16B and hitting the wall there. He's brought that car into pit lane, but it's been a long stop for him, a bit over a minute. We saw him come in very early on in the race. I think it was lap 5 with some damage and taking fast repair. And this probably has put paid to a decent run for him, as Thomas Hinds with a wild entry into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, but unfortunate for Baden. I'm not 100% sure that the fix that he had earlier on was probably necessary, looking at the damage that he had. But the car could have been handling 100% different in his perspective. But it's unfortunate. He had pace, and it would have been good to see him up in that top 5 battle, probably where he belonged. But this is motorsport. Anything can happen, and sometimes it's just not for you.
Just had Cameron Dance in the wall there coming through Snake, and he went nose into the tyres. Doesn't look like he's had too much damage, but that's freed Griffin Gardner now to get a nice comfortable gap over him.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like he actually just clipped the grass, I think, just trying to maximise that corner speed through there. It's a bit of a tough section, and he's just nipped the grass on the end of the curb and just thrown them sideways. And these cars aren't the easiest to catch once they go round. So
yeah, so a lot of work to do there. As far as pit stops go, folks, Thomas Hinz, he's made his stop, 10.2 seconds. Steve Jansen, sitting in 8th, has also made his stop, 12 seconds. David Mulhall, 11.4 seconds in 9th. Brett Douglas, we haven't seen much of Brett tonight at all. And where is Brett? There he is. He's in 11th, 13.3 seconds was his stop. Tom Freer in 12th has also made a stop. So they're the main guys. And Baden Reed, well, he's still in the pits, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere anytime soon, guys.
No, it's quite sad to see him having to possibly, I think, DNF the race. As I said before, he definitely would have been in the top 5 had those incidents not happened. So that's quite sad to see.
Yeah, well, he was doing really well. He was up to 8th position from 18th after the fast repair, so he was definitely on the march back. But it was just unfortunate. Not sure what went on with it. He started locking up again, and we saw him exit stage left into the tyres there. So having a look
we've got a
car.
Mel Leonard. She's gone off at just before the tree. I think double apex. I don't know the corner name. Sorry, guys.
Okay, we'll have a look at this, and probably coming up through the S's there by the sounds of it. And he was having a battle, it looked like, with Tom. As we watch him now come through the Snake, we'll keep an eye on it. I have a feeling he's come off probably, where are we? Probably around about South Bend.
Yeah, he's run a bit wide and tried to come back over for the next corner to take that left-hander, and I think he's jumped on the brakes, and it's just thrown the car off the track and escorted him well into the grass.
That was very Dukes of Hazzard, wasn't it? And I tell you what, he's got such a slide on. I thought he was going to come back on the other side, and he didn't. We did see in practice Bruce did that, and he ended up coming right across the track.
Yeah, VIR is one of those tracks. I don't know if it's just the way the grass is or if it's just an iRacing thing, but obviously you're carrying a lot of speed through that section, and when you get on the grass anywhere basically at VIR, you go for a bit of a ride. It's not the easiest to get stopped on here, so I had a bit of a wild ride. I think it was a PCCA round last season here, out of turn 1, I believe it was, off maybe the start. I can't remember when 100%, but I got escorted off the track, and I almost come and collected the rest of the field. I was just spinning out of control because you can't get the car stopped.
Yeah, it's we'll just bid farewell to Daniel. Thanks to Daniel for popping in tonight. It was really great to have him up here. He's got family duties to attend to now, so looks like it might just be me and you for a bit, Jordan.
Oh, thanks for coming, your comps. And we'll finish off this race in style, I suppose.
I like that. Daniel says, yeah, let's bring Jordan in. Oh, by the way, I've got to go. So there you go. But having a look at our top 10 at the moment, folks, we've got Scott Lanark. He's got a nice big lead now over Michael Healy, 3.9 seconds. Massive gap back to Griffin Gardner. He is down 12 seconds from the lead. 3.4 seconds up from Thomas Hines, who's starting to close in on him. Then we've got Cameron Dance sitting in 5th, 6th, Richard Brookfield, 7th, Richard Skender, 8th is Steve Jansen, 9th, David Mulhall, and Brett Douglas. He rounds out your top 10. And the other interesting thing about this, Jordan, is they've all stopped now. Scott came in, did his stop 11.7. Michael did a stop of 11, and Griffin 11.5 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think that fuel strategy worked as well as Healy thought it might have been. He obviously gained 0.7, which can be quite a bit of a gain. I think they were out, I think it was 4 seconds, maybe 5, before the pit stop. So he made a wee gain, but I think his outlet from the pits, hasn't quite got it as good as Scott, and now he's back out to 6 seconds. So
yeah, he's a long way back now. I think it's pretty much going to be Scott here, although Michael has had a better run than last week. He was in a bit of recovery mode at Oran Park there. Managed to get that car back to 5th, but that would have cost him the lead in the championship. But it'll be interesting now. Scott's looking to go back-to-back here tonight.
yeah, Scott's definitely, he's a talent in the Porsche for sure. I haven't seen him do much racing in other categories, but definitely when it comes to the Porsche, even at a global stage and definitely in Australia NZ region, he's definitely one to beat. If it's not him winning, it's someone else who's extremely fast as well. So it's not unusual to see Scott out front, and he's doing what he does best, which is just pull away.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we've got 14 minutes of racing to go. Another person we haven't seen much of tonight is Richard Brookfield here in the fluke entry. He's up 1 position. A good, consistent run by Richard tonight, sitting in 6th position. He's got no one around him. 8 seconds up the road is Cameron Dance, and a good 7 seconds down the road is Richard Skender. So once again, Brookfield will be looking at just keeping it tidy and getting it home.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the biggest thing, I think, for, these endurance races is just, doing your own race, keeping it consistent and looking at his time, fairly consistent at his he hasn't, I don't think he's actually put a foot wrong all race, and he's definitely paying, he's getting the rewards for it.
Yeah, he definitely is, and it's all about points, and that's what he'll be getting tonight. As we just saw Cameron Dance go off on turn 1 down here. Looked like I just caught the smoke as he was coming in, and it looked like he might have had a bit of a tyre lock up under brakes here. Just go back to the West End Mazda replay and have a look at this. So yeah, he's out. That's strange. It looked like he outbraked himself, and he was way off the apex, and he just went off the outside of the corner there.
Yeah, he's the Porsche is one of those cars that can be, it's got finesse braking. So if you go in just a fraction too late, it can be very hard to stop. And Cameron's race is really not gone for him tonight. He's just a few errors here and there, and those errors have cost them quite a lot of time, and they're just costing him points as well, really.
Yeah, it certainly is, as we just see him there going past the Race Stars entry. That car was Luke Lucas 1 lap down, so he's cleared him. But yeah, we saw Cameron earlier throwing it about, and it looks like now maybe his tyres are starting to pay the price here with 12 minutes to go, and he's down there in 5th position. Having a look at Thomas Hines at the moment, well, he's trying to get hold of Griffin Gardner, but that gap, if we bring up the live gap here, folks, is 2.5 seconds, so they're well and truly spread out now here, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. I think towards the end of endurance races, people start to find their rhythm, and obviously the tyres, I think, are the biggest factor. They don't go off that much, but if you overuse them too much and early on in the race, it's definitely going to spread the field out closer to the end of it, just because of the fact that people have to kind of limp the car back, I suppose, to the finish, because once the tyres go at a track like this, as we've seen from Cameron, it can be quite a wild ride for the rest of the race, just of how fast it is and how much little grip you have.
Yeah, you can just see the way that car's sliding here. He's no longer lifting that wheel on the curb there, so he's definitely in conservation mode at the moment. But no doubt he'll hang on for 5th position. I doubt there's no way he'll improve from there, because he's if we bring up the battle pack from Thomas back to him, that gap 22.4 seconds.
Yeah, I think as long as Cameron brings it home in 5th, he'll still get some good points, and he's going to have to push for a win at the final round. We also have just lost Baden Reed. He's disconnected from the server, so that puts into his campaign here tonight, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm sure he'll be looking forward to the last round and giving it his all.
Yeah, he was looking really the goods earlier on, wasn't he? He was very competitive up until he had those, don't know what it was, it looked like brake issues. Did that fast repair, got back from 18th back up to 8th, and then we saw him into the wall there with another apparent issue with the brakes, but I'm only guessing.
Yeah, I think the brakes, locking up definitely hinders the tyres a lot, and when you do that heaps, it's just going to make it harder and harder for yourself. That damage that he got from when he collected Cameron Dance going through the roller coaster definitely wouldn't have helped his cause with the front end. For anyone that's driven the Porsche, it's quite a light front, so you really want to make sure you keep the front end as good condition as you can. Make sure you've got all that grip to your advantage, because once it goes, it can be a hell of a ride trying to keep it on the track.
Yeah, it certainly can, especially at VIR. It's quite an unforgiving track. And I was saying earlier, some drivers love this track, some hate it. I know I really enjoy it, but what's your feelings towards this track, Jordan?
Oh, I love this track. It's to be honest, I wish I was out there, but as the admin of the series, I don't race just to keep the politics on the low, make sure it's fair playing field for everyone. So this track and this car is definitely one of a kind. I enjoy it quite a lot. I've only raced here probably 3 or 4 times, but each time I've enjoyed it heaps.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I really enjoy running it. I don't know what it is. I just think there's a lot of classic parts to this circuit, which is absolute ball if you get the car set up properly. But looking next week, I think, where are we off to next week? I think it's Canadian Tire, isn't it? Moport.
I believe so. It's quite funny. I run the series, but I don't actually know the calendar off the top of my head. I'll bring it up for you and be able to tell the viewers exactly what we have next week.
Yeah, and that's, of course, going to be the final round of the Porsche Carerra Cup, folks. It's a double header. We'll have the Porsches out earlier in the night, and then later in the night, the Australian Online Supercar Championship. V8 Supercars also at I think it's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park will have a sprint round there. So that'll be exciting. And that's the second last round of the AOSC. We, of course, finish off with an Enduro, I think it is, at Bathurst, and that'll be a retro round, as it normally always is.
Yeah, that'll be definitely a cool event to attend. I might attend it myself. I haven't done much of the AOSC, obviously running this series in partnership, I suppose, with AOSC. It's been a great season, but I've kind of just stayed out of the racing and stuck to what I do, which is dirt and GTs at the moment. So I might, at Bathurst, as it's a track that I know and done a few laps in the V8. So, but yeah, Canadian Tire is the last round for this series. So it'll be a sprint race, and I think, knowing Canadian Tire, it's going to be an all-out war on track for those championship points.
Yeah, it certainly will. That's another track I enjoy, is Canadian Tire. Although I tell you what, it's quite a tricky track in places, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those tracks which you got to get the flow to right, and if you can't get that flow, then it's not going to be a very fun race for you.
No, exactly right. And you can see one guy that's not having too much of a fun race, Cameron Dance. He's dropped down to 6th position now. Richard Brookfield's got past him. I'd say he's had another off somewhere, because having a look at that gap, it is quite large. I'll just get a live gap now for you folks. 6.3 seconds from Richard back to Cameron.
Yeah, I'll just go back and watch Cameron's last lap and just see if I can figure out where he's gone off. Yeah, as you say, it's not his race tonight. Yeah, he's actually lost it going through the S's, just going over the last right-hand kink before the left-hander. He's hit the curb wrong, and then obviously that's done the whole ricochet effect, hit him into another curb, and then he spun it going over the fast-flowing left, where we saw Lachmal Lenage go off the track as well.
Okay, and then we saw in the next lap there, he actually got airborne, would you believe, on the back straight. He was running down the side there, and where the track rejoins, he's hit the ripple strip and launched it. Absolutely launched it, and he's kept on going though. But that would have caught his attention.
Oh yeah, I've just seen it. That's huge. That's a big moment. That is not something you want to be doing, Cameron. I think, to be honest, I think he's just given up. You know, it hasn't been his race, and there's only 3 minutes to go. So I think he just needs to keep it on the track and not let distractions come into his play. Otherwise, you know, he could throw it all away.
Yeah, that's right. And he needs those points to go into next week. So it's going to be interesting, Jordan, once you do the points there, to see just see how close it all is. I think it's going to be on next week.
Yeah, and one of the things that I don't know if Cameron has put into effect yet, but everyone gets a drop round from a sprint round and from an endurance round. So when you add those drops in, your worst sprint and your worst enduro, you know, that could play a big factor into the points as well. So this could be possibly, I'm not sure if he's had a worse result than 6 in the endurance, but if this is his worst result, then he'll be able to drop that and possibly be even closer for the points.
Yeah, I tell you what, if 6 was a worse result in a season, I'd take that any day.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the field right now that'd be wishing to have that as a worse result for sure.
Yeah, well, it could go down to 7th at the moment, because now Skender, he is all over the back of Dance. I'd say Dance's tyres are shot. He's on the back foot here, and Skender's looking at wanting to take that position.
Yeah, they run the same time last lap, so it'll be interesting. Richard's obviously, he's like as I said, how Griffin was. He's got nothing to lose. Obviously, he's got his championship that he's thinking about too, like all the others, but he's not fighting for that win of the championship. So he'll be trying to get those points just as much as anyone else. And it looks like he's got a run going into roller coaster. Is Cam going to let him go? Is he? Oh, this is going to be close. Yeah. Nice work from Richard for pulling it up, though.
Yeah, it certainly was, because we were on the nose cam there with Richard as I saw Cameron coming across to cover him off there, and I was worried Richard wasn't going to be able to pull it up, but he did. So, and that shows the respect all these guys have for each other. We were saying earlier, you know, when you've got a series like this where all the drivers are professional and clean and show respect, you don't need incident limits, do you?
No, definitely not. We obviously had them for a few rounds more at tracks that are, I suppose, common for incidents to try and keep the racing clean. But for the endurance ones, I don't really see a reason for it. And as you say, it means the drivers can actually drive. In real life, you don't have incident stuff. It's iRacing's way of penalising people that drive like twats, I suppose. But Yeah, I don't think there's a need for it in this series. A lot of the people that are racing tonight, and people that haven't raced tonight but have raced throughout the series, they have done more than a handful of rounds. So when you have people that do that, you get to kind of learn how each other race. So you kind of give that respect, and you know what they're going to do, and you can predict kind of the actions of what other competitors are going to do, which is a big thing when it comes to racing. You see it all the time in, supercars and Formula One and all that kind of stuff. When you're racing the same people, you learn how they race, and you're able to give them the respect for how they race, and you know how to get past them cleanly without, throwing them off the track and what have you.
Yeah, exactly right. And I know the ANSCAR guys, Thursday Night Thunder, they only give the boys, no fast repairs, unlimited incidents, and that generally thins the field out of anyone that's going to, start putting it into the wall. Well, like real life, put it in the wall once, you're watching from the pits for the rest of the night. So, I think it's a good move for the right types of leagues. As we see Scott there lose it under Oak Tree and gathers it up.
Just about to say that. I think we are on the last lap as well, or possibly the next one. So Scott just needs to make sure he doesn't lose his rhythm. Obviously, he had a big 13-second lead over Michael Healy, which I think he's thankful for now. But I think it's the last lap. I'm not 100% sure. It might be the next one. But Scott's just outperformed everyone tonight. He's put on a great show. Kept it clean, done what he's had to do, and this is a big bag of points for him.
Certainly is. We've got 16 seconds remaining here, folks, till we get the white flag. See if Scott's going to lift. He's going as slow as he possibly can, but he's not going to get there as he comes across the line with 4 seconds to go, and he'll get the white flag now.
The last lap is out. All he's got to do is keep it together for the rest of this lap, and then from there he's going to take home the champagne and the silverware. Yeah,
and I tell you what, that spin would have, as he's got it loose.
Oh, yes.
I tell you what, this is going to be the longest last lap he's ever had, I think, because all of a sudden looks like the tyres are giving up the ghost on this car, and he's just trying to get it home.
Yeah, and I think obviously that spin, when you haven't made a mistake all race and then you make a small mistake closing, to the end of the race and you are leading, it can throw your rhythm out a wee bit. And obviously he probably got a shock himself that he lost it, because it's an uncharacteristic thing for Scott to lose control like he did. He's obviously got the lap car in front of him of Wayne Martin. I don't think Wayne will be too much of a hassle for him as he's holding left. So
as he goes through, but I know exactly what he would have thought. I can't say exactly what he would have thought, but one thing he would have been thinking is keep it off the wall, and he did that.
Yeah.
So there's probably a few other words in there somewhere. Here he comes anyway. Down roller coaster for the last time here. Scott Lanark, he's going to take the win here at VIR. And as he's going wide there, this car, he's led 21 out of the 33. The only other driver to lead was Michael Healy, who led 12. But congratulations, Scott Lanark takes the win here tonight of the Porsche Carerra Cup.
Yeah, big well done to Scott on that drive. Phenomenal. Didn't put a foot wrong until those last 2 laps. I think we actually might have given him the commentator's curse, mate.
Yeah, probably did. But normally when we curse them, they crash. And he was strong enough to shake it off. You can see Thomas Hinds now coming across for 4th position, and Richard Brookfield as he comes down the roller coaster. Good drive by Richard tonight. 5th position, and ring that up 2 positions from where he started. Nice clean drive, good bag of points, and well deserved. Then Cameron Dance, it was a bit the opposite for Cameron, wasn't it? Strong run, but I think he just burnt those tyres up and lost his rhythm. He'll come home for 6th position, so he will get a number of points he can carry on next week.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt him. But in 7th, we have Richard Skender, who's also had a pretty clean run. He's gone up 1 position, so it's a good drive from him. And then in 8th, we have Steve. Is it Jensen or Jensen? I'm not sure how you say it.
It's probably, if it was my name, Jansen sounds more like a rally driver name. I'd probably go with that, but it's probably Jansen.
Yeah. And then in 9th, we have David Mulhall. 10th, Brett Douglas. Great drive from these guys. They've done what they've had to do. They haven't gone a lap down. They've kept it clean. And, definitely get some points tonight for all these drivers.
Yeah, definitely. And we see the guys there just testing out the new particle system there. And but before we get to interviews, folks, we've got Thomas Hinds up there. Let's go through the final results so you can see where your favourite driver finished. So congratulations to Scott Lanark there. And in the end, 2 pit stops by the looks of it, but gets that car home in first. Michael Healy second, third Griffin Gardner. Thomas Hinds, he comes home in 4th positions, up 2 from where he started. Richard Brookfield 5th, 6th. Cameron Dance, Richard Skender home in 7th, 8th, Steve Jansen up 3 positions. David Mulhall comes home in 9th, Brett Douglas 10th, Tom Freer up 5 positions, biggest mover so far. Lacis Leonage home in 12th. 13th was Lachmal Leonage up 4 positions. Wayne Martin in 14th. Mick Wilson also up 5 positions to finish in 15th. Luke Lucas 16th. 17th, now in the retirements, was Baden Reed, and Bruce Smith also retired. The non-starters tonight, Jackson Evans, Alex Schuler, Jamie McKnight and yourself, Jordan, as well as Blair Walton. And Blair couldn't make it because he had screen issues tonight.
Well, that's unfortunate to hear. As I said earlier, technical issues and hardware issues are probably the worst for any sim racer, other than internet, I suppose. But yeah, that's a shame that Blair couldn't race.
Yeah, we just had word from Daniel. He had a blackout. That's why he disappeared. So he just wrote and said, yes, we just had a blackout. So there you go. It's all happening tonight. Let's bring Thomas Hinds up, though. We'll have a chat with him and see what he's got to say about his race. Hi, Thomas. Welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. And looked like you had a pretty strong run out there tonight.
Yeah, went well. Just going along really. Probably it was a pretty perfect race on my end, apart from just maybe 1 error at the oak tree, which led Cam and Griffin through just for the stops. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm not really too bummed about that because I'm pretty certain Griffin was going to get me anyway because he had pretty lightning pace even with the bit of damage he had there. So at the end of the day, I was going to finish rolls anyway. So after the stop, I just backed off and had to save a little fuel. I just thought I was back off and bring it home anyway because I had the gap. So yeah, the aim was, 5th or 6th thereabouts. I was happy to just stay where I started, just behind all the usual suspects. But yeah, to have enough field, and obviously Cam has some issues with damage, and then obviously Baden have a retire as well, and all that sort of helped to gain a couple of spots. So yeah, no, I'm happy. It's good points for me. It keeps me 3rd in the standings, I think, and that's really all I want. Just want to, finish off the season strong and maintain that 3rd, and I'll be happy. So yeah, good stuff.
Fantastic. And we saw earlier Cameron appeared to have problems with the handling of his car, and later we saw Scott also struggling in the last couple of laps. Were tyres an issue around here, do you think, or could it be something else that was affecting their race tonight?
No, I highly doubt it would have been tyres because the tyres on the Pork are very durable. Usually, I think for like the engine, like BLN and that, I think they can almost quadruple stint them. They last a very, very long time. So highly doubt it was tyres. I suspect Scott would have been backing off because I think I was keeping on the relative and he had something like a 20-second lead. So I get the feeling he just backed off the last few laps because he knew he had the win in the bag. But yeah, Cam, it was, I don't think it was tyres for Cam. It was it was the damage he had, because I was behind him and I could see that right side was pretty badly beaten up from when he had that contact earlier on. So for him, it was all the car damage, and it must have. I suspect he might have had some bent steering. He was definitely lacking top end because he had no top end speed when I was behind him or got past him earlier on. So yeah, no, it's a shame to see him had a bit of a difficult race there, and that's going to make it interesting for the last round championship wise. But yeah, as I said, for me, it was a good race, good battles as well early on. I think they were 3 wide at one point, or in the first few laps. Some good battles with Cam and Griffin and everybody else. So no, good fun as always. So keen to for the last round of motorsports round off the season.
Fantastic, and we've got Jordan up here commentating, so I'll just see, Jordan, do you have any questions for Thomas?
Hi, Thomas.
Hello.
Just going back to your incident that you had at the double right-handers, was it just a bit of a late braking, or was it just unsettled car going through there, or how did it happen?
Yeah, I think it's just went too deep, really. I'd kind of been going a little bit deeper. It seemed like from what I was seeing, I was kind of going a little deeper than most into the double right. I think my the setup I generally use, which seems to be a bit softer than most, sort of helped me going pretty deep in there, and I just went a touch too deep. And obviously, the moment I touched the grass there at the double right, it just goes off. And yeah, it just went a little deep. Off it went, a little wide. It lost me a few seconds and the 2 spots. But as I said, I'm not too bothered because I'm pretty certain Griffin was going to get me anyway. Because obviously, it's I'll talk to him after, I'm sure, but yeah, his pace was pretty lightning. Even though it looked like he did have a little damage, he was still doing some pretty insane pace. So yeah, I think in either way I was going to finish where I was. But yeah, a little bit of a unnecessary excursion. But it's VIR. It's obviously a very tough track. So yeah, easy to do that.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about it earlier on in the race about the technicality of the track and how it's quite a driver's track. Would you rate it as one of your favourite tracks for driving, or how do you see the track?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I've not actually, because obviously because it's VIR, it doesn't get used an awful lot on the various series here in iRacing. It's one of the lesser used tracks, but whenever I have raced around here, it is good fun. Obviously the V8s do sometimes race here, and that's good fun. Whenever IMSA or GT3 does race here, that's good fun. So it's a track I think that does suit a lot of different cars. So yeah, no, I think it's definitely a driver's track. Obviously how tight it is and how easy it is to make errors, as we saw today or tonight. But yeah, no, I like it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites, but yeah, I don't mind it. So yeah, good time.
Well done on the 4th place, and hopefully we get to see you somewhere up in the top 5 for the final round at Mosport.
Thanks very much, Phil.
Yeah, and before you go, of course, Thomas, do you want to give a shout out to all the sponsors of your car tonight?
Yep, no worries. Obviously, Coast-Centric and Rat Corp, the main 2 that we've had for a long time now. So big thanks to them for the continued support, and look forward to that going on for a long time to come. Fingers crossed. Sim Racing Collectibles as well. Big thanks to Jay for allowing us to put his logo on the car. Looks fantastic, and good little thing he's doing there for the community as well. And then just thanks obviously to the team and you guys for the broadcast, and Jordan and you guys in the admin team for running an awesome series, and Kirsten, I guess also thank Kirsten Designs, I think, who do our skins for all the different cars we have. They look fantastic, and obviously I think in the last few months we had that updated Porsche skin put on, and it does look it looks really, really good. So yeah, big thanks to them for their work there.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for popping in, mate. No doubt we'll see you next week, and until then, have a good week.
Yep. Same to you guys. See you next time.
So, folks, that was Thomas Hinds coming home 4th tonight. Our next interview will be with Griffin Gardner, and he come home 3rd. We might get you to start this one, Jordan.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Hey, Griffin, welcome to the RRTV's Combox. Well done on the 3rd place tonight. How did you feel the race went tonight?
Yeah, well, I thought the race went pretty good. I want to apologise to Baden for the incident in turn 1. Obviously, just side by side, and sometimes there's a bit of a glitch where you get stuck together. I tried to turn away, but obviously you got shafted into the grass. So just want to apologise to him for that. But apart from that, it was a really good race for me. Awesome battle with Cam and Tom. Obviously had went off a bit at turn 1. That scared me. So after that, I just tried to be really smooth and save my tyres, and I seemed to be pretty quick, nearly catching Michael there at the end. So for me, I really enjoyed that race.
Yeah, it seemed like your pace, even from qualifying, definitely followed through into the race. It looked like you had a wee bit of damage, obviously, with the contact with Baden at turn 1 and a few other hiccups throughout the race. Would you say that the damage hindered your car setup or handling in any way?
No, I don't think so. From what I could see after the race, it was just a tiny bit of a wing bend. So the car didn't feel too bad. So no, I don't think so.
Do you want me to...
I muted us.
Okay. The fantastic drive, Griffin. Third position tonight. You looked really, really strong out there, and no doubt you're happy with the handling of your car. And yeah, I don't really have any questions. I'm just going to tell you how you drove.
Sorry about the noise. It's my mic.
That's all right, mate. Before we let you go, though, have you got any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Summit Realty Southwest for all their help and support. Obviously, you guys at RRTV for the broadcast. Jordan and Jamie obviously helping out and running the series. They always do a great job. So big thanks to those guys.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to catching up with you again next week. Final round at Moport. How are you feeling about that one?
It should be interesting. It's a very very difficult track with the undulation and the type of off-camber corners that are around there. So I think it's going to be good. And there's a massive straight and a few hairpins. So I reckon there'll be a lot of overtaking, and it should put for a great race.
Fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you there next week for the final round, and no doubt, hopefully, you'll have another good, strong run.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Tell you what, Jordan, you can start telling how long I've been hanging around calling Canadian Tire Moport. I don't think we're allowed to call it Moport anymore.
Yeah. Well, you can see how long I've been commentating for. I can't even think of questions.
Yeah, that's all right.
Some serious awkwardness, but yeah.
Oh, it's all right. You fit in well. I just sort of try to think of something to ask them and sound intelligent. But man of the hour tonight, folks, is Scott Lanark. We've got him in the green room. We'll bring him up and get his view on the race. Hi, Scott. Welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. Congratulations. First place again tonight. I think that's back-to-back wins for you in the last couple of rounds.
Thanks, Bernie. Yeah, it's a bit of a rubbish start, but got there in the end.
Yeah, I was saying on the commentary there, it was almost like role reversal. I think last week Michael had the issue out of turn 1 and dropped right back. Tonight it looked like you were caught napping a little bit, and you went back to about 4th or 5th, I think.
Yeah, I think I just got caught on the outside, and it was a little bit slipperier than what I expected out there. And I think I almost slipped back into 5th, but ended up holding on to 4th, and then just had to knuckle down after that, after just get settled into a rhythm.
Yeah, and the other question I've got for you, we're going to go to the other end of the race here, 2 laps to go, when you lost it under Oak Tree there. Can you...
Oh, Dan, you were watching.
You're always.
You can keep it clean for the viewers, but what was going through your mind when you lost it down there?
Oh, beep. No, look, the car felt really good, especially as it started to get lighter and lighter. I set the car up more for a long endurance run than, just an all-out one-lapper. And just towards the end there, I just started to push. I know it sounds a bit greedy, but trying to get the fastest lap and just going in too hard. And then I did it again on the last lap, and I thought, okay, time to just bring it home.
Yeah, we caught that one as well. And
Oh God!
I tell you what, though, I don't know if you knew how close you were to not having to run another lap. We thought you might have backed it off a bit, but you were 3 seconds early to the start-finish line.
For fuel, you mean?
No, to get the white flag. So
3 seconds later, and you would have, I think, finished the race, was it? Or
Yeah.
you would.
3 seconds later, it would have been 0 seconds. You probably would have had to be about 6 seconds down the track to have finished a lap earlier than what you did.
Oh, right.
And apart from that, so basically, apart from you being greedy on those last couple of laps, the rest of the car was handling to your satisfaction?
Yeah, it was really good. As I said, I set it up for the long run. Basically, there's no tricks to it. It's just got to set it up with the right amount of rake and wing. Pretty much, there's no silly cambers or toe in this car, and then just you look after it. But yeah, the first few laps were quite interesting and fun. I think it was on the third or second lap. I think I was between Cam and Baden in the middle, and had the butt cheeks clenching there on the way down. But I knew the guys would keep it clean.
Yeah, well, we had our butt cheeks clenched as we were watching you thread the needle through there. I thought the ironic thing about the whole thing, or the funny thing, was you threaded the needle, you split them, you went ahead, and the other two behind you ran into each other. So that was interesting. So yeah, that was a hell of a move, and I guess you were sending them a big message that you're in a bit of a hurry to try to reel in Michael, because I think he was out to by 3 seconds by that stage.
Yeah, I actually think by the time I got myself together and got past those guys, he was nearly 4 seconds in front, I think. And I thought, oh, here we go. He's on for a good winning. And then I just put those good laps in. Just had to do qualifying laps, and he sort of I don't know if he let me past or what. It was a little bit easier than what I expected. I was expecting a good biff with Michael. Would have been a good fun.
Yeah, I was just I was going to ask you, Scott, about that. Did you, obviously Michael kind of just backed off and let you by. Did you have any concerns when he did let you by? Did you think he was going to go for the fuel saving strategy and try and jump you through the pit lane?
Yep. So as soon as I overtook him, I could see he was hanging about a second behind me, and I just for the first few laps, and then I sort of caught onto it, and then just had to do some. I just made myself do some qualifying laps just to try and pull a bit of a gap, so he couldn't do that. But yeah, obviously there's no tyres done here. You don't need it in the Porsche. You can go for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours with this car in the same set of tyres. So it was just a matter of just dumping some fuel in, and away you go.
One of the things that we seen throughout the race was a lot of people struggling with brakes. Is there some kind of finesse that you need for this track in particular when it comes to braking, or is it more about the line and how you approach the corners around here? Obviously, Cameron Dance, Baden Reed, those two were some of the front runners, and they were struggling with brakes. Griffin Gardner and even Thomas went off a few times, obviously locking up or just missing their braking points. Is there something that you do that makes you so consistent throughout the race with the braking, or is it more about how you approach the corners?
Sort of all of the above, and I guess it's just practice as well. I guess I've been in this Porsche for quite a while now. Pretty much, basically, it's really the only car I've mastered in iRacing at the moment. It's sort of trying to make the transition to the V8s, and it's obviously a completely different beast. But I don't know, just after some time, and if you have too much crazy front camber or rear camber, toe or something like that, the car does like to lock up into a corner. A lot of trail braking as well in this car. So, and then it's just a matter of finding that brake balance and just trying to hit the sweet spot every time, which I obviously didn't do in those last 2 laps.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but last season for PCCA, you actually won here with your teammate Bo Albert, first and second. So you've done the repeat once again.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that old Muggo had a bit of a drive-through. It's a shame. It would have been good to see him around these traps, going at it again with him. But let's see. Hopefully next season he'll come aboard and we can have a good battle.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that race very well. I tried to sneak in with some cheeky donuts at the end with you and Bo.
Yeah, fantastic, Scott. Before you go, though, do you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors?
My only sponsor's JRT at the moment. And obviously shout out to RRTV, I'd get that right. Bernie, yourself, obviously, and big thanks to Jordan and Jamie putting the series together.
Fantastic, yeah, and we look forward to catching up with you next week. Final round, and looks like you'll be carrying a bit of momentum into that one. I'm interested to see the points when they tally up to see how close it's going to be.
Yeah, it hopefully should be a cracker.
Yep, fantastic. All right, Scott, thanks for popping in, mate, and having a chat with us. Best of luck next week, and hopefully we'll get to have a chat next week as well.
Thanks, guys.
Now, that is the commentator's curse, because you'll probably bin it next week.
I hope not, honestly, because yeah, it's been a tough season for everyone. You know, it's 11 rounds, and it's been stretched over quite some time, so it's hard to stay consistent. So hopefully he doesn't get the curse and put it in a fence. I think we cursed him a wee bit when he was going through Oak Tree and we were talking about him. So hopefully that doesn't follow on the next round.
Yeah, and I thought I was psychic because I knew exactly what he was thinking, the beep. So, yeah, it'll be interesting next week to see how they all go. No doubt Michael will be bringing his race game to that circuit, and it's going to be a great circuit to finish off a great series, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't done a lot around Canadian Tire, but from what I have done, it's definitely one of those tracks that I think you really got to finesse it, I suppose. And as Griffin said, it's got a lot of, what's the word? A lot of ups and downs, you know, so lots of ovulation, I think it is. But yeah, there's heaps of ups and downs, and it's going to take quite a bit of finesse to get it right. And I think we could see a lot of mistakes as well, just with how much it changes in ovulation, I think that's the word.
Yeah, elevation, yeah. I'll tell you
elevation, that's the one.
I thought we got away with that curse, but we didn't because Scott's still in the broadcast and he just wrote, "She'll be right, mate." So he heard us. So anyway, but looking at the week ahead, folks, on RRTV, pretty quiet week. Our next broadcast will be Thursday night. Thursday night, Thunder Boys are coming back, and we'll be covering that. That series runs once a fortnight this season, and that should be exciting. Then, of course, next Friday night we have the doubleheader. Start with the Porsche Carerra Cups, Porsche Carerra Cup Australia, and then we have the Australian Online Supercar Championship after that for a sprint round, and that's the second last round of the AOSC. It wraps up the week after, which is going to be a retro endurance round at Bathurst, which is becoming a bit of a tradition for that series, so that's going to be fun. Yeah,
definitely. It's a very popular track in this region, so I'm sure there'll be a great turnout, and I think there'll be also a great turnout next round as it's the final round for this championship. And many of the guys that come and race PCCA, they also go on to race AOSC, so be good practice for those guys as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. So, folks, if you're not doing anything next Friday night, come back and join us then and get your popcorn out because it's going to be a lot of fun, that's for sure. And also I'd like to thank Daniel Leet for popping in earlier tonight to do the commentary, and, of course, yourself, Jordan, for not only running the series but also jumping in tonight and doing some comms as well.
Yeah, sorry for being the noob, but thanks for having me. And obviously, of course, I enjoy running the series, so Season 3's in the works, Bernie. I don't know if obviously you'd know about it. So, yeah, Season 3's in the works, and we're going to get that thing on track pretty quickly. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, definitely looking forward to that. But anyway, folks, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm not sure if everyone's got a long weekend in Australia. I definitely do. But until next week, folks, stay safe, have fun at work, and come back and join us next Friday night. Good night.